All right, good evening, folks. Welcome to Monday Night Law here on Kirk's Law Corner. How's everybody doing out there? I know I took a little vacation, so some people may not be aware of what happened there, but I did put that out. Dazel Days, what's happening, brother? You survived, huh? Oh, there it is. All right, cool. Seems to be working. Hi, CC from Alaska. See you out there on Facebook. Hello out there on Rumble and Twitter, or X, YouTube, and Facebook, and of course, Telegram. Oh, it was a nice, relaxing time, let me tell you. Hi, Scrimshaw, how you doing? Good to see you on here. Nice, relaxing time, although we had a little bit of an issue. His main bike decided to take a crap. The body control module took a crap on the way down. So really didn't get a whole lot of riding in, but he didn't ride at all. Actually, no, he did take the yellow bike out for a ride. uh, yes, Scrimshaw, I'm doing great actually. It was a very much needed vacation break. Let me tell you, that's the most I've had some downtime in probably 5 or 6 years. Actually, probably even longer than that. Actually, I've never really had a 2 week vacation. It was beautiful down there. We did get a little bit of rain while we were down there, but I mean, we're talking lows in the 50s and highs of 80. I think I saw what one day was 80, 83, but for the most part, it's right there at about 80 degrees for the high for the day. Just beautiful down there in Yuma, Arizona. Much needed break. And Tiger, yep, I did get some two-wheel therapy in. I did get to go for a couple of different rides there, so it was good. It was good. I'm looking forward to going on some more rides here in town. So once the weather gets a little bit better, it was fairly nice. Today is still a little bit chilly. I mean, 55, 56 degrees for the high today, which is about the low down there in Yuma. And boy, it was one hell of a trip coming back. We actually timed it just right. Mom and I were both watching the weather and coming through Ely there, which usually is this time of year is pretty snowy, and which there was a snowstorm that come through, and we timed it just right. It was perfect. A little bit of snow on the side of the roads. You could tell that it had recently snowed, but didn't have to put it in 4-wheel drive or anything like that. It was a little kind of sketchy there, certain parts on the road there. Definitely tell there was some icy stuff there, but the lowest we saw there was 14 degrees, so it was definitely freezing. We stopped there at the one rest stop, and there was snow on some of the cars that had been parked there, so we know that it had recently snowed. Yes, that's about exactly what I have right here in Idaho right now. Scrimshaw is 55 degrees. It's starting, sun's starting to go down. No, no eclipse over here in Idaho, so we didn't get anything. And no, as far as I'm aware of, no, obviously no internet issues. Everybody's able to watch right now, so no phone issues. Everything seems to be working okay. So just another day. Brother Mark, how are you? See you out there on YouTube, Mark. Now this is a little question out here on Rumble, and you know the thing is folks, we really need to learn the law, and what I mean not just law in itself, but due process of law. So this is really common. Like 99.9% of the people have, well, I'll just say this: the people that have experienced court cases and that kind of stuff are aware of the corruption, or at least I would think would be aware of the corruption. But two local judges were well aware that a defendant was in their court without due process, but permitted the case to continue. General Sessions and Circuit Courts law to take them down lawfully. Well, highly recommend you watch my educational series. Free, they're out there on YouTube. And Kirk's Law Corner there on YouTube. You can also go to my website, kirkslawcorner.com. And right on the homepage there is the first episode in the educational series. And if you just click on YouTube, it'll take you to the YouTube channel, and then you'll just click on the channel so you can see the whole playlist. Normally it will just continue on in that playlist, but just so you don't get mixed up, get right directly into the playlist and watch the playlist. That is the first thing that I highly recommend. As I broke this stuff down, trying to educate the people. I did this, over 4 years, almost 5 years ago now. I did the educational series. So if you've not watched the educational series, I highly recommend watching those first. Second, if you're looking for any kind of education other than what I provide here on Monday nights, through Patreon is a private Wednesday night workshop. If you're looking for a little more than just kind of learn a little bit more on Wednesday night workshops, and you want some one-on-one time, that's tier 4. I do provide one-on-one education, not to be confused with giving legal advice. I do law, not legal. So, my answer to your question out there on Rumble is straight up. You're going to have to learn how to effectively defend yourself. And that is the mission statement for Kirk's Law Corner LLC. What are your rights, where do they come from, and how to effectively claim, exercise, and defend them following due process of law. One of the things I like to tell people out there is the first court you go into is the de facto kangaroo courts. Okay, they don't recognize rights. They go by their code, Roman civil law. And it's all barcode, right? They're playing their game. But we have to create our record. And the very first fundamental principle of due process of law is notice and opportunity to respond. Now, this is where you're going to want to get in and read the rules of procedure. Learn how to do a notice of special appearance objecting to the personal jurisdiction. Learn how to do the motion to dismiss and assert all the grounds for dismissal, all your affirmative defenses. Okay? Those are the primary documents that need to be done in the very beginning of any case. Now, like I've explained, even in my own recent case here, which is now on appeal, the judge denied. And this is what I try to teach people, is the fact that they are trained to deny everything and just force you to take it up the line. And most of the time they just deny all of that anyways. The reality here is and I've talked about this for many years now. Executive Order 13818. There's several different executive orders by Trump reestablishing the rule of law. Okay. Executive Order 13818 is the one blocking the property of those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption worldwide. It's a worldwide executive order. This has been going on since December 20th of 2017. Now, those of you who've been following me long enough, you're well aware of that particular executive order, as I've repeated that many, many, many times. And I put that stuff out when it was coming out, back in 2017. When that stuff started rolling out, I was telling people, look, that's what that executive order means. Taking down the corruption worldwide. Okay, so that's what's happening. There have been lots of people who have been arrested. Quite a few people have been executed. Some people don't get it. They don't just because they're not seeing it on ABC or NBC or CBS or MSN or CNN or whatever your so-called favorite mainstream media news outlet is. You're not going to see any of this stuff on there. And again, it is a military operation. We're under a continuity of government. There's two federal directives, 2016 and 2017. Excuse me. Question over on Telegram. What do I think about this AI apps for legal problems? Haven't touched them. Have no clue. And I don't know about your habeas corpus, but the writ of habeas corpus is supposed to be an immediate remedy and a check on the executive branch to see if the executive branch followed the law, followed due process of law. My knowledge base of experience on those is they just deny. So that's the thing about the problem we have with our corrupt government. It's all being orchestrated and perpetrated by the bar, these titles of nobility holding esquires. Okay? And this is something that Chris and I was working on there starting in 2017. Challenge the bar as a monopoly and you can't license the practice of law. And make no mistake, I'm picking up where Chris and I left off. And that time is coming here real soon. So, I'm aware of certain states out there, and they've been talking about doing away with the bar exam. That's not good enough. The whole bar needs to go away. This whole concept and idea that somebody has to go to law school and then have this permission, this membership to a club in order to practice law. The fact is, the right to the assistance of counsel, it doesn't say we have the right to be represented by a member of the bar. It says we have the right to the assistance of counsel. That assistance of counsel is our choice. It's a right. We, the people, laid that down and declared that as a right that we get to decide who our assistance of counsel is. Not government, not members of the bar, not judges. Okay? That's actually been in history, clear back in the 1600s there, which I've done a judicial notice to a court and a judge on this. So, I found where it says in history of law that it's not up to them to decide who our choice of counsel is. Whether they accept them or not is none of their damn business. They have no authority to dictate to us who our assistants of counsel is. In fact, they have no authority to dictate to us what any of our rights are and how and when we decide to claim and exercise them. It's just a matter of us learning, which they've hijacked our educational system, right? They don't teach us the real law anymore. That statute of General Lee there, when they took that down, they found that time capsule box. And I watched the video on that when they were cutting that box open and pulling stuff out, and they found fourth grade level curriculum education on law in fourth grade. Okay? So, clearly they have taken that kind of education out of our school system. They don't want us to know what our rights are. They don't want us to know the law. And I've said this before. Back in the day, most kids, by the time they were 12 years old, and more specifically even 14, because that was the age of majority or age of consent back in the day, they already knew how to do their own paperwork, file their own claims, prosecute their own claims. At 14 years old, even as early as 12 years old, knew how to do that stuff. So, are you as smart as a fifth grader from back then and, early 1700s, 1800s? No, none of us are. That's part of the problem that we're having here is a lack of knowledge. Now, ultimately, I propose the question: who's actually responsible for our own education? The truthful answer, the honest answer, is us. We are. We're responsible for our own education. So, if you don't know what you're doing out there, it's your own damn fault. And I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. The cold, hard truth, folks. If you're not studying and you're not learning what the law is, what your rights are, and what due process of law is, what those steps are, remedy, to gain the relief you seek, whose fault is that? I'm been here for several years, trying to educate my fellow man out there. Trying to give people a shortcut because I've done a lot of digging and I've done a lot of research. And I can tell you, the way things are going right now is not the way the things are supposed to be. Not even close. So, it starts with educating ourselves. Ultimately, what we need to start studying is the laws of nature. The Bible. What God says, what God laid down as the law. That's real law. And then, basically, from there, then you can get it. Once you get the fundamentals down, the fundamental law, the common law, and understand what common law really is, which is maxims of law and customs. Customs come from things like declarations. Sometimes they come from constitutions. But technically speaking, the Constitution is separate from the fundamental law and the common law in the sense that it's the instrument of government. But it is to be known as law of the land which is actually short for common law of the land. And law of the land is also synonymous with due process of law. And this is why we find, like in Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England, very, 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 very good read. Okay? That's why I started covering it here before I went on vacation for the previous 8 weeks. And that was just on absolute rights. Those three primary, fundamental, absolute rights. The right of personal security, the right of personal liberty, and the right of private property. That's that life, liberty, and property, or pursuit of happiness, that the Declaration of Independence refers to. And that the Declaration, or the Declaration of Rights, Bill of Rights, that life, liberty, and property cannot be deprived without due process of law. And why it says, in like Blackstone's and that kind of stuff, it says cannot be deprived but by the consent of a jury or by the law of the land. It doesn't say by statute or by code. It all has to follow the letter of the law as it is written. There was never a delegated power to alter the fundamental law. There was never a delegated power to even make legislation regarding due process of law. Because again, due process of law and law of the land are synonymous. So this is why I encourage people to read the supreme law of the land, the supreme due process of law, and your state constitution. Okay? Now, I'm very well aware that most of the state constitutions are corrupted, right? Since the Reconstruction Acts, a lot of stuff has changed. Even right around 1845 to 1850-ish, a lot of the state constitutions had started making changes. But we have to do it. Now, I really wish people would stop bringing up stuff that has nothing to do with real law. Okay, I do real law. I don't do this code, uniform commercial code. It's all code, Roman civil law code. Okay? Now, I am going to be filing a Title 42, 1983, right? That's United States Code. I get it. Where there's a right, there has to be a remedy. And being that we no longer have our common law courts pursuant to the Article the 7th, the Bill of Rights, suits at common law, many people are not aware that Title 42, 1983 is in fact a suit at common law. Go read it. It's common law jurisdiction. And the reality is they're not civil rights. Civil, when the word civil, term civil, that's that Roman civil law. And according to them, they're privileges. See the 14th Amendment. Privileges. Nowhere in there does it talk about rights. Period. They're privileges. But we have natural rights. And we have political rights. But you have to know this. Because again, knowledge is power. If you do not possess this knowledge, you have no power. You want to play around with their code game crap and play with the Uniform Commercial Code and Code of Federal Regulations and all the code crap, you're going to get screwed. And people talking about Mickey Klon out there. I already put that out there before. None. I've not seen any evidence that she's done anything that she claims about, like bonds for the wind and all that. No. Nothing. It's a good talk. But I'm not I'm not the kind of guy that just sits around and talks bullshit all the time. I actually do things, and I do get success and get remedy, get relief. Aside from this particular case that I just went to trial on twice, the previous 4 cases have been dismissed. Now, this particular case is a big one. It's a whopper. I laid it all out, going for the the big stuff, and challenging the entire Idaho Code, that Code of Civil Procedure Act of 1881, in the 11th legislative session for the territory of Idaho. Constitutionality challenges. That's where it's at, folks. And now I'm starting to get at what Trump was meaning by, well, somebody ought to sue these people. That's what he's talking about. Start suing these people and start doing constitutionality challenges and start challenging the code. They want to call it a statute. None of them are statutes. This is all code, folks. See, I don't get it, guys. You're talking over here on Telegram, they're talking about all this AI stuff. Just go read the frickin' Constitution. Go read, like, Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England. Go read Treatise on Arrest and False Imprisonment. Learn your frickin' rights, folks. Stop trying to pull a fast one. You're going to have to learn this stuff. Right here, in your brain. Put it down on paper yourself. You do it. Stop trying to play games and take a shortcut. Because here's part of the problem. Let's say this AI stuff works, right? Does your paperwork for you. You just punch it in and say, yeah, okay, do this for me. Okay, you file the paperwork, you get into court, and the judge starts asking you questions. You gonna be able to answer those questions? How are you going to do an oral argument? How are you going to conduct your own trial? No, folks, really need to learn this stuff for ourselves. Okay? There's no other way around it. You have to learn for yourself. Like AI, okay? Artificial intelligence. It's only as good as those who program it. Well, do you think those that are programming it are going to program it correctly with the right stuff? Come on. That ain't going to happen. No, you don't need AI for anything. Read. Because reading means reading. Read for yourself. I know that's a novel concept to, pick up a book and read it. This whole digital age, the digital age that we're in is everybody wants everything handed to them on a silver platter. Nobody wants to put in the effort, the time, and the work that it takes to educate ourselves. They want everything right now. Now. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. I mean, even for me, I get things pretty easy and pretty quick. It's the way I have been my whole entire life. And not everybody is like me, but I still had to study, folks. We're talking hours, weeks, months, years of sitting and reading. and putting this, 10,000 piece puzzle together. And, it just takes time. It really does. But I'm telling you right now, folks, with everything, the research that I've done, I'm providing a shortcut on what needs to be read and learned. I've already weeded through all the bullshit and got down to finding some really good stuff, like Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England, okay? I've had that for several years. I was reluctant to read it because it was Blackstone's and it's England. But again, in the New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin case, went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States, America, okay? Guess what they cited in there about the right to keep and bear arms? Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England, that first fundamental absolute right of personal security, which comes from, like they said, from the laws of nature, as the fundamental right of self-defense. Imagine that. So, that was what, June of 2022? Yeah, June of 2022, when they ruled on that. And another thing to note there is the fact that the Supreme Court was saying, well, we don't care about any statutes throughout history. We don't care about any case law. Because that's an oxymoron. There is no such thing as case law. Because the judicial branch doesn't have the power to make law. That's a fact. I challenge any man or woman out there to provide me evidence to support the claim that the judicial branch has the power to make law. I mean, I might have missed something somewhere, but I've been studying quite a long time, and our form of government and the three distinct branches of government and which one has what kinds of powers. And I've never found anywhere where it says the judicial branch has the power to make law, as well as the executive branch. In fact, not even the legislative branch really has the power to make law. They make statutes, which is policy, regulations, but that's not law. I don't hear the word law, like law of nature, law of nations, common law. Hear the word law in there? But this is where they try to add that word law on the back. Well, it's statutory law. No, it's just statutes. It's not law. It's policy. It's regulations. It's color of law. There's a case out there. It's even on law.cornell.edu. That it was manifest, it was not left to the legislative branch to make any due process of law. That's right. Because due process of law comes from the common law, the law of the land. Doesn't come from legislation. But see, that's the fundamental difference of fundamental law between Roman civil law, code, and common law as a fundamental law. Two totally different bodies of law, two different jurisdictions, two different fundamental laws that even Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England, Blackstone talks about that. There are three types of fundamental law. You got the Roman civil law, the code, you got feudal law, and you got the common law. Now, the real common law, as it is stated in Blackstone's, which was done by the Saxons, is maxims of law and customs. Where does it say case law? It doesn't. Maxims of law is rule of law. It rules over law. Just like the rules of mathematics will dictate the correct answer every time, regardless of your personal feelings, opinions, because we all know about opinions, right? Everybody's got one and they all stink. 2 + 2 = 4 every day of the week, 365 days a year. or you're insane. You're either of sound mind, you possess logic and reason, and come to a reasonable conclusion based in reality that 2 plus 2 equals 4, or you are insane. And we are to shun the insane. That's part of the laws of nature, by the way. That's a fact. We hear, not just in America, but many places, they lock people up in the loony bin, insane asylum. There's places for people that are insane. Yep. You're signing up with David Strait and claiming your national sovereignty? Really? Well, I don't need to sign up with David Strait, and I don't need to do jack. I claim it. Period. I am man, creation of God, one of the people of the territory of Idaho. Can anybody rebut that? We're done. It's just that simple, folks. This whole garbage out there about correcting your status. How do I correct my status from man, creation of God, one of the people of the territory of Idaho? Because all political power is inherent in the people, not state national. There's no such thing as state national. It's garbage. It's shit made up by the bar. And even then, it's not called state national. It's just called national. And like I've exposed this garbage before, national did not exist until 1878. And the only place you can find it is in the United States Code. You will not find it in Law of Nations. Most certainly not going to find it in Laws of Nature. Doesn't exist there. Doesn't exist in real law. So there's your warning again for those out there that are on the fence about correcting their status. Nope, garbage. Fraud vitiates everything from its inception, void ab initio. And being that I get to declare who I am, and I declare what my status is, I don't need permission from somebody else. Period. Well, just to make things very clear, the United States Inc. Corporation, which was created essentially in 1868, it's insolvent, bankrupt, done away with. It's a corporation, right? Trump did the involuntary bankruptcy on that. That was June of 2020. That's why a lot of this scrambling and all this crap that's been going on with the election and all that stuff is because the corporation's done. Now, how many people are aware of this or not is that when a corporation goes into bankruptcy, they can no longer make any new contracts. They're done. So, do we understand that the United States Inc. is done? This is why the importance of comprehending and understanding what those two federal directives were about. And like I've put out there, Article 4, Section 4, Luther versus Borden, talking about guaranteed a Republican form of government to protect us from invasion, foreign invasion, and domestic violence. Luther versus Borden says that's internal insurrection. That has nothing to do with family law or domestic relations. That's all shit made up by the bar. That's that Violence Against Women Act in 1995. Bullshit. Congress didn't have that authority. It's all fraud. It's all void for any effect. From its inception, void ab initio. But the fact is in Texas v. White, talks about how the president, only acting as commander-in-chief, has the authority to set up provisional government pending the outcome of the war. For years, I've been talking about this, folks. This is what's been going on. We're under a provisional government set up by the military. That's why this is a military operation. Shit is being taken down. Whether you agree with that, whether you're aware of that or not, is irrelevant. I've been involved in enough stuff over the years. I know what's coming. I know what's going on. Okay? I have my sources and contacts. I know what's happening. And for the most part, I have a pretty good idea. Some of it I've been involved in. Okay, so it's not like I'm just some dude out here just regurgitating somebody else's garbage. No, I've been actively engaged in some of the things that have been happening since 2017. So that's the reason why I know, and the fact that I took the time to read and pay attention to Trump's executive orders, his proclamations, that the report of the Commission on Unalienable Rights, the 1776 Commission. Why is it 1776? Not 1787. What was going on in 1776, folks? That was a revolutionary war. Not a civil war. Civil War was 1861, 1863. Okay? It's a revolutionary war. And that's where we're at now. Revolution. Or devolution, de-evolution. To take down how things have evolved since 1776. Even the first Constitution there of 1789, some will say 1787, but there was a 1787 Articles of Confederation or amendments to the Articles of Confederation. But the 1789 Constitution for the United States of America was actually the first bankruptcy. And it was a corrupted constitution to begin with, because there was no delegation of authority for them to do what they did. That's a fact. And that can be found in the secret debates in the documents illustrative of the formation of the American Union, or the Union of the American States. I'll tell you what, that was one hell of an eye-opener for me. That just put the nails right in the coffin about how that first Constitution of 1789, 1791 with the Bill of Rights, was a fraud. Plain and simple. And make no mistake, they wanted to destroy those records of the secret debates and proceedings so that nobody would ever find that and figure it out. Or at least, if they weren't going to destroy them, they at least wanted them sealed up so that nobody would ever have access to it. And there were several people in that secret debates and proceedings that flat out said they wouldn't sign that new Constitution because they had no authority to create it. And then all of a sudden, they changed their tune and, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Yeah, that's because somebody came up and thumped him on the back of the head and said, look, no, you're going to be a part of this, whether you like it or not. And the other, or we'll just kill you. More than likely, that's exactly what happened. And the other parts in there was talking about how they didn't have the authority from the people. And, well, we'll just go ahead and do, because it was proposed to do what they were supposed to do, which was to make legislation to regulate foreign commerce. That was the original resolution from Virginia at the time. That's in there as well. And those documents illustrated the formation of the Union of the American States. And so it lays it out very clear in that resolution what the delegates were sent for. Was to make legislation and make amendments to the Articles of Confederation. Not to subvert them. Not to completely alter the Articles of Confederation. So, it was very enlightening reading that stuff, and the fact that, well, I guess what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just do this, and we'll let the people figure it out that, whatever, they can challenge whatever's, unlawful and unconstitutional. So that's kind of doing something without permission, and then, well, then somebody else has got to deal with it later. That's what happened. And throughout time. Good Lord. Let's see, how do I... Yeah, people don't quite get it, but about David Straight. Here's the thing. He has some good stuff out there. But it's mostly just trying to expose the fraud stuff. He doesn't really teach any real law. Think about it, folks. The people out there that have followed David Straight, do you recall him citing any law? Not code, but law. Like Law of Nations. Does he quote from Law of Nations? Does he quote from Laws of Nature? Does he quote from any, history of Bills of Rights, Declarations, Magna Carta? Does he quote from Blackstone's commentaries on the Law of England? Does he talk about due process of law and what the steps are? What remedy and relief, how to get the relief you seek? Remedy is due process of law. He doesn't. Okay, I'm well aware that he doesn't. Does he teach how to do paperwork? And I'm talking real paperwork, not correct your status garbage. Okay, it's all fraud. Good Lord. Well, for me, I know who I am, and again, I am man, creation of God. Right here. This good book, right? This that Bible. This happens to be the founder's Bible, and right there in the very beginning of Genesis, what does it say? Genesis 1:26. Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea," which would actually be fish of the water, "and over the birds of the sky," it would be of the air, "and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." 27. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Can anybody rebut that? They've tried for a long time. The theory of evolution. But, I'm going to go with God's word. And that's admissible in court. That's a published book. Writings. So, that's all I need. And I highly doubt any man on the face of this planet can rebut that. But then there's the beauty about Article the First of the Bill of Rights, or also known as the First Amendment, but in the original Bill of Rights, it is articles in addition to an amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. The fact is it says, "Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or the free exercise thereof." Most people are not aware that that is the right of conscience. It goes back to that first primary absolute right from the laws of nature. The right of personal security has to do with the right of conscience. Even the Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776, in accordance with the internal dictates of the mind. The right of conscience. It doesn't matter what any other man thinks. That's about what we think. Now, again, back to, are you of sound mind or are you insane? 2 + 2 = 4. If you disagree with that, I will declare you insane. Because the rules of mathematics dictate that. Just like maxims of law, rule of law, dictate certain things. Like, what a man does in his own defense is to be considered legal. Gee, that's because the laws of nature already dictate that. It's a maxim of law. Yeah, whatever. The thing is I will flat out demand proof from law about this state national. And I could care less if Field McConnell or Donald Trump claim that they're state nationals. I have never once heard Trump say that he was a state national. Period. Not once. You know, you're all entitled to think what you want to think and do what you want to do. But I do real law. So I've discovered the fraud, this history of Roman civil law code. This is not the first time that we have been subjected to this crap throughout history. This isn't the first time that the people have, stood up against it. It's, it's about discovering the truth and figuring it out. And then how to defend yourself against it. Call it out. That's what it's going to take throughout history. James, I got a suntan. Well, I did get a little bit of sun. I tried. Seriously, guys. I tried. I was in shorts and t-shirt, and a couple of days there where it got really warm, I was without a t-shirt on. I still didn't, I got a little bit of sun. My face is probably showing a little bit from today as I was in the sun today. But yeah, there was a couple of times I even sat there, my shorts and legs out. Seriously, I'm a white boy. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But yeah, didn't get much color on my legs. Yep. Yeah, the thing is we really need to get back to just the basics here. And that's those three primary absolute rights: personal security, personal liberty, and private property. It's once you get those three basic concepts of law of nature, naturally, fundamentally, and principally, anything that comes in conflict with that is void for any effect. And this is where I differ with David Straight. This was the conversation that we had was, well, don't you think we ought to be teaching him the law? Teaching him what their rights are? Teaching the truth? No. He thinks that he should be teaching all the fraud. But my argument is if you learn the truth, then you will know what is fraud. If you don't know the truth, how do you know it's fraud? You have to create the conflict. And then you got to start citing law. Which one stands on a higher plane? The laws of nature or enactments of the legislature? It's supposed to be the laws of nature. But how many people know the laws of nature? How many people know natural rights? Those three basic, fundamental, primary, absolute, right? It's an absolute right. No man or set of men has any kind of authority to subvert those rights. Ever. That's a fact. They only do it and get away with it because we don't know. So, wouldn't it behoove us to educate ourselves so that we're no longer ignorant? And it should go off like a frickin' bell and whistle anything that comes in conflict with our natural rights. But again, if you don't know them, how's the alarm going to sound? Well, it's okay. You know, it's real simple, guys. Learn your rights first. Learn the fundamentals. Because again, anything that comes in conflict with those basic fundamental absolute rights, it's void for any effect. Again, what stands on a higher plane? You know, even the police officer on the stand, he couldn't even comprehend the basic question of which stands on a higher plane, the statute or constitution. Or actually, no, pardon me. I take that back. It was your policy or a statute. Because, see, the executive branch likes to make their own policies. This goes back to, what Attorney General Barr, he called them those interagencies. And this is part of the fundamental alteration of our form of government, is where the executive branch is sitting there making, this is under that Administrative Procedures Act, where the executive branch makes their own rules. They call it rulemaking. They make their own policy. And so I was asking him, while he's on the stand under oath, which stands on a higher plane, your internal policy or a statute? Well, the Constitution. That wasn't an option for an answer. And we went over it 3 times, and even the judge, because the prosecutor said, objection, asked and answered, and the judge actually said, no, actually he didn't answer the question. So repeat the question. So I did. And the officer, well, the Constitution. And by the 3rd time, the judge is like, okay, just move on. I said, but he didn't answer the question. He's like, well, he did. He didn't answer. That was his answer, right? And then you should have seen the look on his face when I said, okay, which stands on a higher plane? Statute or the Constitution? I don't know if the bells went off in his head, but he sure seemed pretty dumbfounded when the question was statute or Constitution. So, this is what we're dealing with, folks. A complete dumbed down society. On purpose. Which is, in part, what has, in a way, humbled me, but has helped me when I started thinking about, well, wait a minute. We're all victims here. We've all been lied to. We've all been taught wrong. Okay? And we're supposed to have compassion for our fellow man. So, this is the part that has really, really helped me in my life, staying calm and remaining in honor, is because I know that they've been taught wrong. We've all been taught wrong. We've all been lied to. We've all been duped. So, what do? We have to learn for ourselves how to take this down, following due process of law, because we have to follow the law. Just because they're not following the law doesn't mean that we don't have to follow the law. It's a fact, right? We have to follow the law, regardless if that's what makes them the criminal. That's what makes anybody a criminal. One that doesn't obey the law. So, if we're not following due process of law, we're no better than they are. And that's the key to understanding compassion for your fellow man. And the fact is remedy to get the relief. That remedy, the word remedy, right? Where there's a right, when a right's violated, there's supposed to be a remedy. Remedy is the process, the steps we take to get the relief we seek. That's why it's called a prayer for relief, where we make a demand for relief. In fact, the word demand is in there under the heading of prayer for relief. I demand this relief. But many people don't know that. And David Straight being one of them, who says, well, I don't do motions. We make demands. That right there tells me he doesn't know the proper format of a motion. He's never done one. If he has done one, it's never been proper, or he would know the part in there, the prayer for relief. That's where we make our demands. Oh my gosh. That's a good one, James. A thumbtack has two parts. It's best to know how the parts work. Wow. Yep. Do you have to hit your thumb with a hammer to know that it's going to hurt? Yep. Yeah, ignorance of the law is no excuse. That is a maxim of law. The other maxim of law is to know a thing and to be bound to know it are regarded in law as equivalent. Now, that's the one that I just recently used in court. And, I've seen this over and over through history in my timeline of going in and out of court. When somebody tries to ask a question of law, the prosecutor will automatically object and the judge will sustain. But I've overcome it to a certain extent. And I pushed it on the second round, second trial by jury, to the point where they finally said, okay, no more. No more asking questions of law, because the final question that broke the straw that broke the camel's back here was the fact of I was asking the officer to cite the law that says that they have the authority to tell us what to do. Right? To demand that we do things. And because in the video, which was played on in the second trial, was, hey, do me a favor and turn your car off. And I asked, are we required to do you a favor? Yep. So they didn't. I mean, I was already beating that officer up on the stand so bad. He's totally incompetent. And the fact is when I nailed him with that question, the whole case is done. Because he can't cite the law that says that they have the authority to tell us what to do. Otherwise, we're not free. You know, the reciprocal of free is what? Slave. Slaves do what they're told. Well, I'm tired of being the slave. I'm claiming that I'm the master and that they are the servants. And I can tell you right now, they don't like it. I've had them flat out tell me, well, I don't like that. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you like that or not. You're the one that's on the clock getting paid by the people, and the people are the masters. All political power is inherent in the people. You're the citizen. Citizen are public servants. Citizen, city servant, civil servant. Now I'll say this. Do people know the difference between a servant and a slave? The reality is one gets paid and the other one doesn't. So it's not bad to be a servant because you choose to be there. There's a contract of employment. Okay? Slaves, they use force and violence against them. Beat the crap out of them to get them to do what they want them to do. Which is essentially what they've been doing to us all throughout history. I mean, they murdered Jesus. And who was it? Was it not the Romans? It sure was. So like I've said, some of this stuff goes clear back to 400 BC. It's been around, it's been happening that long, folks. And even before that. I mean, man, even some of the aliens, okay, they were enslaved. I mean, I don't know how far back you want to go, but just saying. And Jax out here on YouTube made a funny comment referring to the judge I was in. The judge went to the same school as FJB. Well, that's kind of a good statement. Servants have rights, slaves don't. Yes, because they still retain their God-given rights, right? But when you do become a servant, you enter into that contract, you actually have privileges. You still have your natural God-given rights, absolutely. But you do give up certain parts, like your right of conscience. No, you have to do it the way they want you to do it, not the way you think it should be done. So you do give up your right of conscience when it comes to the job. Whatever you've contracted your labor, your performance, you have to perform how they want you to perform, or you're fired. I mean, perfect example. You get hired on at McDonald's, and the manager says, "Okay, you're cooking fries today," and you say, "Well, I don't really feel like cooking fries, and I'm going to go outside and be on my phone." Sure, right of conscience, absolutely, but you're not. How long are you going to work at McDonald's? No, you gotta make fries if you want the paycheck. If you really want to work there, today you're making fries. So you make fries. And you make fries the way they want you to make them. You know, you put the fries in the basket, you drop the fries in, you push the button for the timer. When the timer goes off, you pull them out, shake them out, dump them in there, and you put that salt stuff on there, and away you go. That's how they do it. So when you contract, you do give up some of your basic, even your right of conscience, right? To a certain extent, when it comes to pertaining to the performance of the duties that you've contracted to perform. Now, can they say, make fries standing on your head? Well, that's pushing a little bit. I mean, they make you wear a uniform, right? Gotta wear a uniform. Those are certain things that you give up, your choice of that. Oh. Yep, yep. Yeah, that's again reiterating the 14th Amendment. Nowhere in there does it talk about rights. It says privileges. Technically speaking, there are no rights under the 14th Amendment because, again, that was the era, the time frame of when um, they altered the fundamental law from the common law to the Roman civil law. This was a huge change in the foundation, the fundamental law, and even the Constitution of our form of government and our law, real law, the fundamental law. That's when that happened, ultimately. And it wasn't until around the 1930s ish when they did away with our common law courts. So, I pose this question often out there. Can anybody show me a common law court where we do suits at common law, where we prosecute our own claims, like even against public servants, like it's supposed to be? See, suits at common law can be either criminal in nature or civil in nature, because we're talking about in nature. What are the criminal elements? When we say criminal in nature, that is mens rea, that the mind is guilty. That he did it willfully, knowingly. Can't claim ignorance of the law, like thou shalt not commit murder. Okay? Do we have to have a statute for that? Or do we all just have this common sense knowledge? Oh, that's that right to life. Let's think about that for a minute. God puts down with his finger, thou shalt not commit murder. Then we all of a sudden have this right to life. And we have the right to defend our life. See how that ties together? The same thing with thou shalt not steal. We have the right to defend our property. We have the right to acquire, possess, and utilize our private property how we see fit, which includes defending it, right? That's that part of that possess part. So, life, liberty, and property. Liberty, if any man tries to deprive us of our liberty, we have every right to defend that. Because again, that's one of the three primary absolute rights from nature, fundamentally and principally. So how do we not have that right to defend that? With arms. Oh, that's right. That's what the Second Amendment actually reads. That the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Imagine that. Imagine, if you will, the right to defend your stuff. Not only ourselves, but our family members, our pets, my neighbor, any man standing next to me. And just for clarification's sake here, anytime I say man, it includes man with womb. Not any of those other genders out there from, a whole nother planet away. But, we're supposed to come to each other's aid and defense. Who runs this show anyway? Not a trick question. Comment out here on YouTube. We may make courts perform common law. Yes, I'd expect it. We have to evoke it. We have to bring it forth. It's all about claiming it. We have to bring the law. Again, ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? So you're going to have to know the law in order to bring the law, in order to speak the law. You have to know it. That's why it's knowledge is power. And knowledge literally empowers us. It literally builds confidence. I can tell you that from my own personal experience. Now, I know I get some people out there will say that I'm arrogant or whatever and that kind of stuff. No, it's confidence because I do know. And I'm very well aware of how many people get intimidated by me because I do speak the law off the top of my head because I do know it. I don't know it all. I have never claimed to know it all. No man shall know it all. But we can't deny the fact that I do know the things that I do know because I have read it. I have studied it. I've committed some of this stuff to memory on purpose so that I can speak it. I mean, this gets back to biblical. Our tongues are sharper than a double-edged sword. Now, I've actually brought in a double-edged sword to a couple of seminars, and I've asked for volunteers to let me wield this double-edged sword against a man. Can't seem to get any volunteers. I wonder why that is. Because it would cut them down, right? So, imagine, if you will, you have this knowledge up here, and you use your tongue, you speak the law, and if our tongues are sharper than a double-edged sword, what is that going to do? In the spiritual realm. That's what this is. This is a spiritual war. It's a war of knowledge. It's an information war. Question out here on Telegram. Can a county assembly overrun a district court and convert it to common law? Here's the reality. Once we're reassembled, government de jure, we can abolish the de facto. Okay, we become government de jure, the de facto goes away. That's the key to all of this, guys. Men, women. Is the fact that with the Reconstruction Acts and all that stuff, this has all been a provisional government pending the outcome of the war and actions by Congress. But the problem is everybody basically just walked away. So we've essentially been under martial law since 1863 with the Lieber Code, the first executive order, General Order 100. And we've been under martial law since. So, ultimately, when are we the people, not we the state nationals, because remember, it's we the people. All political power is inherent in the people, not state nationals. Just going to hammer that home till hopefully it makes some sense. I know for some of you, you get it. Right? It's all about the words, the diction. If all political power is inherent in the people, we have the right to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time we deem it necessary. The people must reassemble. And again, once we reassemble government de jure, we have our republic back. We have the power to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time we deem it necessary. But you gotta have that people. Gotta have we the people. Lawfully assembled. So, until that happens, we're stuck with the de facto. Or this, provisional government. Ken, it's more than just the grand juries and the militia. Okay? There's a common law side to our Republican form of government. So there's a lot more to our form of government than just the Constitution. But see, that's where they get away with things because it's not really mentioned in the Constitution. The Bill of Rights, one place, suits it common law. But other than that, where's the word common law in the Constitution? Think about that, folks. So the thing is the common law has to come first. We have to reassemble the whole thing, right? Again, there's way more to our Republican form of government in the common law than just the grand juries and the militia. Way more. So when are we going to do that? When are we as mankind going to come together and form the body politic, we the people? I'm just asking, I find it quite odd, like on my Telegram channel, I've got 4,000 followers. And again, I have no idea how many is on Telegram right now, watching live. It doesn't tell me. I have no idea how many numbered people there are. I mean, I guess I could try to count the list here, but out on Rumble there's 33. What's YouTube got? Where's the number for YouTube? It doesn't really say. This doesn't give me a number. Oh, wait, there. 54 watching there, and I don't know how many on X. But, okay, we're talking well over 100 people right now watching live. Are all of you people that are watching right now, are you involved in the National Assembly stuff in your particular state? Yeah, and that's the other thing. Okay, so followers on YouTube, I've 9,600. Facebook, I have freaking 15,000. Just in the amount of followers alone, like my Rumble, I'm of over 1,000 now. 1,400 people following me on Rumble. We're looking at over almost 30,000 followers. We have a sufficient amount of people to reassemble government de jure right now. And I'm just going to pull this up and reiterate this because it's getting close. Getting close. We'll pull this up. This National Assembly. Does everybody see that? Should. Everybody should be able to see that, right? nationalassembly.net. Okay? There is a conference call every Thursday night. And that's right here on this tab here. Conference call info. Click on that tab. And then, again, I'm going to reiterate this, that I highly recommend that people download and install the free conference call app. Now, there's a YouTube video right here for smartphones. How to download and install the free conference call app. Now, you can also install it on your desktop computer, your laptops, those kinds of things. Here's a video for that. Now, right here, join the meeting. Join the online meeting. This is the link to click on that. And once you click on it once from here, it will store it in your free conference call app. So on the following Thursday, you just have to open up your app and go, oh, join meeting. There's a previous meeting here that I've been to. And this is free. Now, we just had somebody here not too long ago that was on there, that came on there and ended up with a $400 phone bill because they called in instead of getting the app. Because like it says here, for additional assistance connecting to the meeting, text call me to the dial-in number above and you will be called into the conference. Message and data rates may apply. This is a known issue with two telephone providers, T-Mobile and Metro PCS. In October 2000, they made policy changes that began charging their customer 1 cent per minute to connect to the conference lines, radio broadcast lines, and chat line. Although there is no permanent solution to the issue, I can provide you a backup number that anyone that is a customer of these providers can utilize as a back door into the conference line and avoid calling charges. Well, that's all right here too. How to do all that. But it's so much simpler if you just download and install the app. Okay. And yes, there is... if you want to get involved, send an email to contentmanager1@yahoo.com and put your name and state in there, and we'll get you connected. Otherwise, I highly recommend that to begin with anyways. But if you go into this forums and blog and go to National Assembly Forums, and you scroll down, you have every single the 50 nation states right here. So if you're from Alabama, here's your Alabama introduction. You go in there and make an introduction. Here's your general chat. Here's your historical documents. Okay? All of them, all 50 of them are right here. Okay? Now, like I did in Idaho, I made the general chat comment, but well, both, right? I just did that February 10th, 2024. Announced that I'm the Idaho coordinator for Idaho. And if you're wanting to be part of Idaho, you can send me an email at idahodejure@protonmail.com. Or did I even put that in there? I thought that I did. Yep, right there. Email me at idahodejure@protonmail.com. And then with the subject line as Idaho de Jure. Now, this is not an email to contact me about anything other than, in this instance here, for becoming part of Idaho. Okay? Now, those of you that are involved with the National Assembly stuff, if you want to send me an email regarding the Idaho de Jure stuff, absolutely. Okay? But this isn't a personal email for me, because if things were to change, this email will go to somebody else. I will turn over the username and password. Okay? So for a couple of you cyber stalkers out there that just don't seem to get the word no and still want to try and email me after I've asked you to stop for a millennia now. Holy crap. You still can't respect the word no. And yes, you know who I'm talking about. Some of you actually know who I'm talking about. Those of you who've been around long enough. So, this is a good place to go to look for your state stuff. And literally I'm like the last one that's ever posted in here. So even though it's had 69 views, now where was the other one? Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's the other introductions. But as you can see, not too many in here. I did an introduction when I first got in here, December 28th, 2021. And Destry responded to that one. So, this is a way to get connected. And then, again, I think right here, contact us, email. I don't know if he's gotten this fixed or not. Yep, okay. contentmanager1@yahoo.com. Of course. It won't. So there you have it. That's the National Assembly stuff. No, I don't want to say any changes to that. Other than that, there's Jason with his hardline. He's got some podcasts here. Some of the state websites. Let's see. The resources. Highly recommend going through these if you want to go through these. Okay. One of the key one is the 10 steps to an assembly. Assembly introduction video. If you're a first timer, want to kind of get an idea of what's going on, I recommend watching this video. I actually watched it not too long ago just to make sure that I watched it. So, for the most part, folks, I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't already done. I've read through a lot of the stuff that's on here. That's the actual handbook. There's a how to settle your state and county. I haven't read that one. I'm going to get on that one. I didn't even know that one was there. But I've read the current situation. Where are we, the people? I've looked at that public notices. Of course, the 1638 fundamental orders. Some of these assembly supporting videos have really just, I think they've been removed. Yeah, see, there used to be quite a few more of them on here. Important censored videos. There's some good stuff here. I wonder if that one... Where's the one that had Red Beckman videos? Thought it was actually in the assembly supporting videos, but this stuff isn't going to fix itself, folks. Plain and simple. We have to do something. And to quote Carter Miller, to keep that man's legacy alive is, what did he say? Well, somebody ought to do something about that. Well, be a somebody. Do something. To quote Edmund Burke, the only thing for evil men to prevail is for good men to do nothing. Right, James? London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady, a nursery rhyme. Yep. Yep, there's a lot of things going on, folks, and a lot of it's distractions to deceive us, to draw attention away, like these ships running into the bridges and stuff. What a weird, exactly, squirrel, Oscar out here. The thing is think about this. What's been coming out? About that pedo stuff and, like P. Diddy and that kind of stuff. In the Holly weird, pervy world. Pervy wood, whatever you want to call it. Pedo wood. All this stuff started coming out with P. Diddy. And then, boom, we have 3 ships taking out bridges. 3 different bridges. Look over here, not over there. We don't want you paying attention to exposing the whole pedo wood thing. Look at this ship in the harbor that took out this bridge. Brother Art, I see you on here. There you are. Yeah, 1215.org. That's Bill Thornton. That's good stuff. Diesel D's. I'm not sure if there's any new election fraud evidence that's come out, but I know that there's been a couple of cases where they have, in Trump's cases, have ruled that there was election fraud. So now that that's even come out in mainstream media, which it's kind of a hush hush thing, but can't really give me a stripe for talking about the news. I'm not the one that said it. The courts did. So, it's coming. It's, the wheels of justice move really slow, folks. It really does. But to quote Trump, like he said several years ago now, was that this is much bigger than they thought. So, you got to remember how deep this stuff goes and how long they've been in charge and how long they have been at this. Like, let's look at the Sestake Trust Act of 1666. Okay, so it took from 1666 essentially till 1913, and then 1930, and then 1933, right, to get to that point from 1666 to 1933 with the birth certificate. Like I've said before, these 13 families and the committee of 300, they play the generational long game like nobody's business, folks. They're teaching these kids from a very, very, very young age what they want them to do, what their purpose is, what they're doing. Plain and simple. Yep. One of my old-time faves. It's Shake and Bake, and I helped. For those of you that are old enough to remember. Oh, the good old days. The real good old days. The last of them. What? What did I miss? I'm not even going to repeat it. Yeah. Trump already said the storm was coming a long time ago. And, he was asked, what do you mean by the storm? What's the storm? You'll see. You'll see. It's coming. And, with all the hype out there about the eclipse, I thought we were going to have like 10 days of darkness and all that stuff and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. In a way, I'm wondering when that's going to happen, right? And, I'm going to clarify about this what I think is meant by 10 days of darkness is lack of communication. No internet access, no cell phones. Um, there might be a limited access, maybe. But I'm thinking it's strictly going to be airwaves, television, and a possible broadcasting, emergency broadcast. And from what I understand, and I've heard this quite a few years ago, that again, some of the executions and some of the stuff that's been going on has been recorded on VHS, analog, not digital. One, so that it can't be leaked. Right? Remember back in the day, Be Kind and Rewind? Remember when we had to rewind the VCR tape? Remember Beta? Yeah, remember Beta tapes and VCR? VHS? Oh, James, Supertramp, it's logical. The good old days. So that's my understanding of what's supposed to happen, or what's alleged that's going to happen, is some of these tapes are going to be played. Okay, so for those that are been out here for years going, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Well, it's going to come to a point, my understanding again, that this is going to be played so that everybody gets to see it, and it'll come out when the military is ready to put it out. And I'm going to reiterate this again for people that may be new here or having a hard time comprehending what a military operation is. And I'll speak from experience in the Marine Corps. Even when I was in the Marine Corps, it was hurry up and wait. Well, what are we doing? Doesn't matter. You're not in the need to know. Just do what you're told. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. That was it. Even in the military, sometimes we're not in the need to know. So how is it people seem to think out here in the general population, you civilians, right? Us civilians out here now are going to be told and shown what's the military's doing. That's not how military works. Not at all. So, in a way, I feel sorry for you folks out there that keep saying that none of this is happening, and that you seem to think that you're very special and you need to know. You're just not, dude. I'm not. Right? I'm no better than 99.9% of the people out here. Okay? I don't have access to direct conversations with the military about what they're doing, what they're going to do, what they have done. Okay? So, whatever I have to scour and find, and what little intel that I am told, I have to decipher it for myself. I have to think for myself. So, I don't necessarily have anyone directly saying, yeah, this is what we did today, or that's what we did yesterday, or what we're doing tomorrow. No, not quite like that. So, after the trials of Nuremberg, that's not going to fly with me. Well, that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, folks. I mean, there there are other people out there that are like me that have paid attention long enough, and we have a basic conceptual idea of what's going on. But things like people like Jan Halper, who was one of Trump's, what was she, Secretary of Defense or some political analyst and whatever. You know, she came out and let the cat out of the bag on the reaffirming. That was, remember the I Told You So video that I did? I talked about how Trump walked in front of the Queen in Saudi Arabia and exposed all that stuff. Talked to people about over 650 planes to retrieve the gold from the Vatican. 650 military planes to retrieve the gold from the Vatican. And that's not all they took from the Vatican. But this stuff's happened. There's been a confirmation on several different people, and Jan Halper would be one that would kind of actually know because she was there. She was in the Trump administration. And it's not like that video footage wasn't publicized on national television worldwide. All of that, the sword dance, Trump walking in front of the Queen, inspecting the military. Okay? You can't deny those facts, right? Unless you haven't seen it by now. Remember, I was just thinking of the Pope and Trump. The Pope wasn't all smoking and joking and full of smiles like he was with Obama and Bush and Clinton, and wonder why that is. Very, very possible, Ken. Here on Teller of Lost or Hidden Scriptures, absolutely. Old ancient parchments and who knows whatever else they've been. I mean, birth certificates for one. But who knows what else the Vatican's been hiding down there? Ancient technology, contracts with aliens. For me, it's essentially following along, reading like executive orders, and we have to have a basic understanding of what an executive order is. It's a military order to execute the law. It's not designed to be making law, and it's done by the commander-in-chief. Because it's a military order. Because remember, we're under martial law since 1863. That's why they're executive orders. Because he's giving an order to execute the law. The law is always cited in the very beginning of the executive order and what it is. And that executive order 13818. Okay, that's it. Blocking the property of those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption. That's taking down bad governmental regimes and instituting new government. And again, holding elections and then doing a treaty of peace. Well, how do you do a treaty of peace if we're not at war? Oh, Jax wants me to show the bike. Oh, let me see. I'll have to hook it up. Well, no, wait. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this here, if it pops up on the screen or not. Where is it? Alright, let's see if I can find it again. Where is it? I should have pulled them off. Oh, I guess I have to authorize it on my phone first. Allow. There we go. I said allow. Okay, it's being funny. This is freaking cord. I should get a different one. It's not liking it. I'm trying. Oh. Is it gonna work? There we go. Or actually it was sent. I might be able to actually... I'm already here now. Maybe. What the hell? Yeah, I should have had it by now. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's see. There we go. So this is the bike I got to tootle around on. If it's going to come up. There we go. See how I'll think of that. It should be... Yeah. Yep, cool frickin' bike, man. It was a beautiful bike. Good times. Good times. I know, very pretty. It's a beautiful bike. Oh, there. Frickin' cord. I'm gonna have to get a new one. Yeah, it's a pretty frickin' cool bike, man. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's actually a 1979 Sportster with some modifications. Education is key, folks. Knowledge is power. If we don't educate ourselves, we don't have we have no power. No knowledge, no power. It's up to us. Whew, all right, went over there a little bit. So yeah. Good times, folks. I think we're in for some better times coming. But again, we're gonna go through some stuff. But I truly believe the time is short. So I don't think it's going to be much longer before the big stuff happens. Before it really comes out. And then again, we may have a little bit of a civil war, given the foreign invasion. We may have to defend ourselves. And I honestly think that is in part why the judicial branch is starting to rule correctly regarding the Second Amendment, which the right comes from the laws of nature, which the Supreme Court has already said many times now. But I think that's in part the reason why they've been ruling correctly on that and saying, no, we all have the right of self-defense. That state legislatures, Congress, they just don't have the authority to make that legislation to strip us of that right. Because it comes from the law of nature, fundamentally and principally. So, I'll put this out there again. Food, water, bullets, beans and bullets, folks. Be prepared. And be prepared to defend it. That's the key to this is, you got food stored up or water stored up or, whatever, and others don't. You may have to defend against looters and people who want to come take your stuff. So, be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. Be careful out there. And be careful of where you go. Okay? So, God bless everybody out there and have a wonderful night. And Wednesday night workshop, we'll see you over there on Patreon. And then Thursday night for the National Assembly call, all right? And I'm not sure when I'll start doing the Friday night stuff again, but I'll put out a notice when I go to do that. I'll let people know, okay? But as of right now, just kind of real busy. I've got a crap ton of paperwork to get done between now and April 31st, so, or April 30th, whatever day that is, the last day of April, before May 1st. So, God bless everybody. Have a wonderful night, and